Well, it's indeed a pleasure to welcome you to this training. My name is Joseph Oguntola. I will be talking briefly about oil palm nursery, and I am sure that by the end of the training you would have gained so much and will help you to set up a standard nursery for your plantation. The oil palm company I work with operates two-stage nursery, and that is the standard. Of course, you can also operate a one-stage nursery, but for best management practice, two-stage nursery produce better results. And so the activities that take place at the nursery can be grouped into seed germination, pre-nursery activities, and the main nursery operations. For the purpose of this training, since you are receiving already germinated seed, the process of germinating this seed will not be discussed. But maybe in the future trainings, if this becomes necessary, we can talk about it. So let's talk about the pre-nursery. Now, when I say two-stage nursery, it means that you have a pre-nursery, you have a main nursery. A picture of a pre-nursery is shown here, and it's also shown here, where you have a shade, and under the shade you have beds where small poly bags are filled with soil, and the seeds are planted inside the bags for them to grow. The size of the bag is usually about 20 centimeter in height, and about the width is also about 8.5 centimeter. They are perforated towards the base so that excess water will not be kept inside the bags but can be kept out. The bags are filled with topsoil so that you can plant on the soil and you don't fill it to the brim, because in some cases you may also need to have mulching material on top, so you can leave a certain, maybe like 2-3 centimeter on top of the bags after filling the bags. It's also advisable that you fill your bags a few weeks before planting so that the soil can settle and they will be well arranged. They are arranged in beds. The beds are marked out using wooden laths. You can use concrete or bamboo poles. The whole idea is to have them straight together in a bed. A bed of 1.5 meter long and 1.5 meter width and 20 meter long can take about 5,000 bags. So depending on the size of your pre-nursery, you can arrange your beds in such a way that they can accept the number of seedlings you intend to send to your field. Some form of shading is also needed because the level of scorching from the sun can dehydrate your oil palm seedlings, and so when you don't provide necessary shading, then there will be problem. They will dry off. In some cases, you can disinfect the bags of soil in the bed with pesticide a day or two before planting to control incidence of pests. Before you go ahead and plant, you must be sure that your seed have the plumule and radicle. They should have differentiated into plumule and radicle. As you can see on this picture, they should be clear which part of this is the plumule, which part is the radicle. Now you can see this place now with this small sign shows that that is the part that's going to become the root. That's the radicle. So when planting, this goes down and this side goes up. To plant the seed, you put a hole of 2 to 3 centimeter deep with your middle finger or with one of your fingers at the middle of each bag. Make sure the hole is at the center, 2 to 3 centimeters. So don't make it too deep, please, so that if you have deep planting, your seed will have difficulties germinating, coming up. Make sure that the radicle points downward and the plumule goes up. If you make mistakes with this, then you will have challenges with your seedling. Don't forget that the bag should not be too dry. You can water them. Sprinkler irrigation is the best for oil palm nursery, and if you can afford this, that will be a very good idea. This is an example of a bamboo nursery. You can see it doesn't cost so much. Just get your bamboo and arrange the bags inside. Remember, shading is important. uh, the shading here is done with palm fronds, which is also readily available. You can mark the beds with bags. You can indicate the transfer date, the material, the code, the number of seeds planted for purpose of verification and control. Within 3 to 4 months, the seedling should be ready for transplanting into the main nursery. And if you are using this kind of shade, bamboo, palm fronds, a month before the transplanting, you start reducing the shade, you start deshading. And that means that, let's say in a square meter you have 4 palm fronds, the month to your transplanting you take away 1, that's yes. Then 3 weeks to your transplanting you take away 2, 2 weeks to your transplanting you take the third one, and the last week you take the fourth one, so that you now be open to sunlight. The idea is that you want to harden the leaves to be able to face the major challenge of sun when it gets to the main nursery, since you will be covering this at the main nursery. Let's talk about some management practices at the nursery, at the main nursery, at the pre-nursery. We talk about weeding, watering, fertilizer application, chemical spraying. We know that this is necessary. You want to reduce competition for nutrients, so you take away any other weed apart from oil palm. And you know that some of these weeds are host to serious pests that can cause serious damage for you. So please, you have to take them out. Don't use herbicides for weeding at the pre-nursery. This is a no-no, because you lose a lot of seedlings. Watering is a common sense practice. You need water. You need about 1 to 4 millimeter every day. 4 millimeter in every 2 days, or let's say on the average 1 millimeter every day. And be sure that if it is possible for you, don't use excess watering, because that can cause fungal attack. In fact, excessive watering can be more dangerous than insufficient watering. That may surprise you, but that is the reality. Please don't forget that in some cases, not in all cases of course, you may need to apply some fertilizer to replenish the soil nutrient. NPK 12, 12, 17 2 is appropriate. For me, that's the best. If this is not available, NPK 15, 15, 15 or any other combination is okay. You can mix that in your knapsack sprayer, and if you use a 50 gram, for example, in 15 liters of knapsack spray machine, that can spray like 1,000 seedlings for you. And you can do that once every month for the next 3 months or 4 months. That should be okay for you. And as the leaf sizes increases, the following month, if you start with 50, the following month you can maintain 75 for the same 1,000 seedlings. Then the other month you can maintain 100 for the same 1,000 seedlings, so that you'll be able to receive a sufficient nutrient on the soil. Meanwhile, light watering should be done about 10 to 15 minutes to avoid risk of leaf scorching. Some of those fertilizer particles may be stuck to the seedlings, and these are still very soft and tender, so it is appropriate that you find time to wash them inside the bag, so that they don't cause serious damage. And when you see challenges with your seed, don't try to manage them. Please call them. The reason that is why two-stage nursery is better, because you see these challenges early enough, and you quickly adjust the program so that you can get a better result. If you see any form of deformity, any form of scorching, any form of crinkled leaf or low growth, please remove them. That process is called culling. For example, when your seedlings fail to develop, maybe all your seedlings have differentiated in terms of leaves, or they have about 4 leaves and one has only about 2. There's problem with that particular material, with that particular seedling, so you quickly take it out. Or when fertilizer has scorched the foliage, if you control it and it's not working out, please don't waste your time sending it to the main nursery. And when the foliage turns yellow, please apply some nitrogen fertilizers and If the thing improves, please maintain it. If you see brown necrosis at leaf tips, that's because you use too much shade. You can reduce your shading so that at the end you can control the process. But if any serious issue occurs at the pre-nursery, the point is don't send this to the main nursery, and this will save you a lot of stress. So when you call out the pre-nursery, take out the bad ones. It allows you to keep the most uniform and vigorous palms that are likely to give the highest yields in the field, and that is your overall interest. So let me stop this video here so that I will talk about the main nursery in the next video.